How to connect with your wife after separation. Probably right now your wife has left you. She doesn't want to come back. She has gone to her parents' house or she has found a house for herself. And now you're not sure because you have done the begging, you have done asking for forgiveness, you have done everything and nothing is working out. If you are in this particular situation, then continue to watch this video to find your answers. Hi, Valerian here. I teach relationship science to help you to create the marriage of your dreams. And in this video, I'm going to talk about how do you build connection with your wife after separation. And here are the things that I'm going to cover in this particular video. The first thing is evaluate. Evaluate your marriage. The second thing is respect. The third is take care. The fourth point that I want to talk about is connect. The fifth point, the next point is her side. And the second last point I'm going to talk about is about dating. And finally, about learning. So I'm going to take you step by step on this journey. So the first thing to do is evaluate. You got to evaluate why this happened, and it's such an important thing. One of the biggest mistakes men make is as soon as the separation happens, they focus on how do I connect with my wife, how do I get her back, how do I've seen men who are going through, they're going through their third separation or the fourth separation. And why this separation is like, somebody told me, one of the awesome husbands told me that my wife comes home every year and then she leaves. And it sounds like, she has great fun in coming and going and coming and going, which is not true. So the first thing you got to do is evaluate your marriage. Every time somebody fails, like look at elections. When there's an election and the party that doesn't score the majority, or the party which has lost in an election, evaluates itself. The team that has lost in a game evaluate themselves. The same way you got to evaluate yourself and your marriage, so that the same thing doesn't repeat. Because every time you go through a separation, no matter who is right and who is wrong, as long as you don't understand, as long as you're going through the separation, you're suffering, and it shouldn't happen. And how do you evaluate? The way to evaluate is basically this: you got to be evaluating your marriage as a hero. I talk about this concept almost in every video because it is so important. When we get into a power struggle or the difficult phase of our marriage, we feel like victims. We feel that I'm doing so much for this relationship. My wife doesn't want to understand. She doesn't think about me. She doesn't care about me. Her parents are interfering. That's how we feel. Now, if you want to turn things around, then you have to get your wife out of the victim mindset, because she's also thinking the same way. And in order to do that, you have to get out of the victim mindset. So you got to evaluate your marriage as a hero. And when you evaluate your marriage as a hero, you're going to ask a question: why did this happen? And immediate response from within you would be, it's because of her parents. It is because she doesn't want to adjust. It's because she is so arrogant. She's stubborn. She's a narcissist. She has a narcissistic personality. Something or the other will come up. But at those moments, you got to stop yourself and ask yourself, what's my contribution? Maybe she's all this, but what's my contribution? In Hindi, there is a saying that ek haath se tali nahi bajti. In other words, you cannot clap with one hand. It takes two hands to clap. It takes two people to end with the separation. So you got to understand and look inward, and how to do it, I'll talk about it towards the end. You got to look inward and understand, what is it about me, my behavior, that is creating this situation. So this is the first thing. The second thing you got to do is, even before you thinking about connecting, you got to respect. What do you need to respect? You got to respect your pain. It is not easy to go through separation. It is very, very painful, and you got to respect the pain that you're going through. You got to acknowledge that you're suffering. You're going through this very difficult phase. Instead of, and one of the ways people run away from this pain is getting into addictions. At least for some time, I feel calm. I've heard men saying that, after my wife left me, I used to have a bottle every day. Now that is running away from pain. Respecting pain is where you're acknowledging that I'm feeling a void. I'm feeling lost. I'm feeling confused. The second thing you got to respect is, this is very important, is her pain, the pain that your wife is going through at this moment. Because you might feel that, oh, I'm the only one who is suffering, which is not true. Because sometimes when you look at your wife and her behavior and the way she is talking, it makes you feel that she is overly joyed being separated from you. At least in India, where the society is so strong, the people who look down upon people who are separated, especially a woman, it's not easy. So even though your wife is putting up a tough face just to show that everything is okay with her, which is not. What you're actually feeling at this moment is just like what is given in this image. If you look at this image, this is how you're feeling. There's a part of you which is turned away from your spouse, and the same with your spouse. And there's the inner part of you, that inner child, want to connect with your spouse. But when you come face to face, that inner child is suppressed. And that adult shows that I don't care. I don't care. So you got to understand your pain. You got to understand the pain she is going through. You got to acknowledge. You don't have to tell her these things, but inside you, you got to acknowledge the pain that both of you are going through. The next thing that you got to do is, after respecting, is you got to take care. Take care. Because if you are not taking care of yourself and you have become a devdas, what's going to happen is your wife is not going to come back. And even if she comes back, she'll come back out of sympathy. And if she has come back out of sympathy, she would have put some conditions. And out because of those conditions, she has come back. Now you're not going to have a great marriage, because you're going to have fights and arguments. So even before you connect with her, you got to take care of yourself. Because right now, what you're feeling is called primal panic. You got to manage your primal panic. It is a feeling of being separated from a loved one. Primal panic is being separated from a loved one. And when we are separated from a loved one, in this case, our spouse, we are feeling panic. And with that panic, when we call up our wife, we say the wrong things that hurt our spouse even more. That leads to one more fight, one more argument. And that only convinces our wife that, see, he has never changed. And that leads us astray. That creates a bigger gap between us and our spouse. So how do you take care of yourself? Some basic stuff. One is exercise. The second thing is, um, you are doing some kind of intellectual stuff. You're watching videos like this that motivate you. uh, if you're a spiritual person, then anything spiritual or religious that helps you to cope with this situation, doing these things. Now, all these things are prerequisites even before you connect with your wife. Please remember that, because if you don't do these things, either the situation will repeat, or you will lose the opportunities that will come your way. Now, the next thing is connect. This is an important part. Now you have respected your pain, evaluated your marriage, you have taken care of yourself. Now you're connecting with your wife. Now, when you connect with your wife, very important thing to remember is, why are you connecting? You can connect over phone. If you're blocked, you can connect over a visit. Now, the question that you got to answer yourself, and you got to be damn clear, is why you are connecting with your wife. If you're connecting with your wife with the intention of getting her back, then your conversations will go negative. Will go negative. But if you're connecting with your wife for the sake of connecting, they will go positive. Let me explain what I mean by this. Why does a wife block her husband? Because she feels that her husband will convince her through begging, through asking for forgiveness, or plain convincing, will try to get her back. And for that reason, she is blocking her husband. When he comes to her house, she says, I don't want to go back, because she thinks that you are there not to build that connection with her. It is to get her back. You are there with an intention. So here, when I'm talking about connection, you are connecting with her for connecting sake. It means that when you call her up, you're not talking about marriage. You're talking about your life, what's happening in the life of children, what's happening in the life of hers. You're talking about all these things. So it is very important that you connect. One of my mentors says, he says, connect before you communicate. If your hearts are connected through any conversation that you have, then you can communicate what you want to communicate. So connection is more important. The next thing is you can do this over a phone or physical visit. And when you go to her house for a visit, don't go with the family with the intention of, at the end of that conversation, they're going to send their daughter. You're going to have some lane then, and then they're going to send their daughter back to you. No, don't go with that intention. Go with the intention of connecting, just meeting up, just having a conversation, having a cup of chai, and then coming back. That is very, very important. The next thing is when you meet her and you connect and you're talking about idhar udhar ki baatein, like, you're talking about things that are happening, what she's going to do is she's going to bring up the marriage topic, and let her bring up the marriage topic. And when she brings up the marriage topic, you got to go to her side, because you want her to come to your side. You want her to see your pain, your struggles, your challenges, and it can only happen. You can't pull her to your side. It can only happen when you go to her side. And this is the most beautiful picture that depicts about going to her side. Now, when you had that separation, the reason for it is like this. From your side, whatever you are thinking is a 6, and your wife is not able to see that it is a 6. Your perspective, your thought process, what you like, it's a 6. But from your wife's perspective, it is a 9. Now, if you try to pull her to your side, she will not come. Instead of that, you're going to her side and you're understanding why she wants is important for her. You're looking at it from her side. And when you do this, we have something called mirror neurons. Slowly, she will come to your side. It might not happen on the first visit or the second visit or the second call, but it is going to happen for sure. So this is going to her side. And when you go to her side, you will be able to listen to her pain, the challenges, the struggles, what she is going through. And because of listening to her, she will calm down. Remember what I told you? I spoke about primal panic. If you are going through a primal panic, she's also going through a primal panic, and she's going to calm down. And when she calms down, she will be able to understand your perspective. She'll be able to listen to what you have to say. And because of these meetings, slowly that anger will subside, the connection will get built once again. And at that point, you move to the next part, that is, you start dating your wife. And you can do dating over a phone once again, and or in person. So, what is dating? Dating is meeting without a purpose. That's what dating is. When you date, if you have ever had a love marriage, you know what dating is. Probably in arranged marriage, also you would have dated. So dating is meeting without a purpose. There's no agenda for the meeting. Though you might say, I wanted to give you this particular dress, or, the last time I had taken your book, I want to give it, but that's an excuse. You meet without the reason. Now that's what dating is. And that's what you do with your wife. You go out without a reason. Now, why are you doing all these things rather than just going to a house and saying, "Chalo, wapas aa jao," and she puts up conditions and you agree with those conditions and she comes back? Is because you're doing these things so that you build your relationship on a strong foundation of love and trust. Because it is not worth being together. To the world, it will look like we're a perfect couple. We're together for the last 10 years, 12 years. But if you're fighting in the house, it is a hell. You know that. You know that. So why you're doing this is because whatever has happened has happened. Now you want to build your relationship on a strong foundation. So you're dating. And the final thing and the very important thing, that is, you got to learn. Because now, before that, what you got to learn? You got to learn relationship science. And why learn relationship science? For a simple reason that our brain, the first thing is our marriage works on the third principle of Newton. Every action has equal and opposite reaction. That's the first thing. The second thing is a brain hides our action and highlights our partner's reaction. And it's the same thing that happens for our spouse. She's not able to see where she's going wrong. She's only able to see our mistakes. Now, when you start learning relationship science, you go beyond the stories that you hold in your head, that are like, she came to our house and my mother came and then she did this and then. That's not the problem. It is not what happens in our marriage that destroys our marriage. It is how we behave. How I behave in my marriage defines how my marriage is going to be. So when I start learning relationship science, I clearly understand what are the things that I've done or doing that are bringing the worst in the relationship. And I take charge of changing those things. But I can only change them when I know them. And the only way I know them is by learning relationship science. So if you are interested in learning relationship science, then I invite you to attend one of my free masterclasses. It is called 3 Secrets to Bring Back Love. All that you have to do is go to coachval.co, the link that you see out here. Go to coachval.co and sign up for this masterclass. And when you attend the masterclass, I'm going to explain to you a whole lot of things about what you need to do if you're going through a separation. How do you bring back love? How do you build the trust? I'm going to talk about all these things. So that's all for this particular video. And let me quickly sum up all that I've spoken so far. So the first thing is evaluate. The second thing, respect your pain and respect her pain. The third thing is take care of yourself. The fourth thing is connect before communicate. The next thing is go to her side and understand her side so that she comes to your side and understands your pain. The next thing is you date. And finally, you learn relationship science so that this, what happened once, will never ever repeat. You have a great connection and love in your marriage. So if you have found this video useful, please go to the comment section and write over there, what did you find useful? What's that one concept, one thing that I taught you found useful and helpful in your marriage? And if you have not subscribed to this channel, please go ahead, subscribe to this channel, click on that bell icon so that every time I put up a video, you get the notification first. And of course, if you have liked this video, please go ahead and click on that like button. And think about one person in your life who is going through a similar challenge that I've spoken about, going through a separation, going through a struggle. And I invite you to please share this video with that person. So thank you once again for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next video. And until we connect again, as always, keep your love story alive. Bye-bye.